Hi, guys. Welcome to Interesting Tidbit, and I'm your host, Star Stab. And we're going to talk about Fantastic Four First Steps.
This,
Be nice.
I'm finding it.
It take you that long to
It
find
does. It does.
I'm a Marvel fan through the movies. I didn't grow up reading the comics. When you grow up on an island, the Marvel Universe is quite out of your grasp. My love for the Marvel Universe comes from the animated series, the TV shows, the movies, and the arts. What the movies show me is how I learn about these characters and how I get to truly appreciate them. When I went to watch this movie, I had zero expectations. I hadn't seen the trailer and I avoided as much as possible because I like going in without biases or preconceived notions to predict the outcome. When movies do an amazing job, they inspire the artist and the movie lover in me to do my homework, to learn more about these characters, and to learn about their stories. Sadly, this wasn't one of them. The movie does not require you to have knowledge of the previous Marvel films, and it's a standalone in its own world, which is quite refreshing. Although I don't mind doing homework if it's necessary, but it was definitely a nice change of pace to just be able to enjoy these characters in their own world and to go on this adventure with them. Pedro Pascal Reed Richards did exceptional work with what he was given. His portrayal brought weight to the narrative, and his human take on Reed made any concern about him being cast as Reed disappear. Although he comes across more soft in his approach as Reed, there was a charm to his portrayal which I enjoyed, and a warmness to his character which made him more relatable. Vanessa Kirby's performance as Sue Storm was a wonderful take. She brings an emotional anchor and is the voice of reason for the team. I felt like the writing for her had her relying too much on Reed, and another issue I will get into later. Overall, I loved her scenes the most. She had such a commanding presence as one of the voice in the team, and I really enjoyed that. Joseph Quinn delivered a sincere performance as Johnny Storm. His portrayal spotlights Johnny's charming, fun-loving nature, and this Johnny is more grounded than previous versions. I found him likable and believable. Not the laughable comic relief we've had in the previous films. Ben Grimm, played by Eben Moss Bartrack, is our lovable, sensitive thing. His rough exterior is only surface level, and this Ben is more soft around the edges, so to speak, and is more laid back, successfully capturing the gentle giant he is. I wanted more from his character, and I think there was way more that could have been done, but I did enjoy his characterization. The cinematography and action were alright, but it's not some of the best I've seen. There were some cool aesthetic shots, though majority of the movie didn't offer much in depth or variation in composition. What I mean by this, for example, a lot of movie storytelling is told through visuals, whether that be color shifts or using compositions of shots to tell a story, or to enhance a scene or play on symbolism. There aren't any fantastic shots in this movie that really spotlights the team as their own. Aesthetically, the film is beautiful. The cast acting is definitely the main enjoyment of the film. Each member does its best to capture and breathe life into these characters. The actors just really elevate the story beyond the script limitations. Julia Garner as Silver Surfer brings a strength and energy that pulls you whenever she's on screen. You definitely want to see more of her. She brings a vulnerability to the Silver Surfer. Her action scenes were actually one of the best in the movie. She's interesting, and I felt like there was more potential that could have been done with her character. Ralph Ineson lives up to the hype as Galactus. He embodies that gravitas of Galactus. His presence is really commanding whenever he's on scene as a 14 billion-year-old cosmic being. The family dynamic is enjoyable and definitely felt authentic. They were believable as a family unit, and again, I felt like the actors were the film's strength. A lot of the novelty in the design played into bringing this comic book world into something tangible. And now for the bad. While there are good aspects to this movie, the negatives really weighed heavy because it's not the side plot but the main focus of the story that gets affected. Again, the script just didn't give the actors enough to work with, making the film feel underwhelming. I wanted more complexity from the characters, more clear story arc for each, but most felt incomplete. I'm happy to skip the origin story, but after 4 years, more should be established about these characters and their powers. They never do anything creative with their abilities, leaving you thinking, that's it? Is that their limitations? The audience is also never given a clear time frame when anything takes place. The film is frustratingly vague about time. How long has it been since Franklin been born? Day, week, months? We have no clue. Franklin may very well have Benjamin Button syndrome with how fast he aged. The CGI for this baby was not very good half the time, and it was very hard to take it seriously. The movie never established the crucial time frame. We don't know when Galactus will reach Earth. We just know which planet he's eaten. But that tells us nothing about distance, speed, time, or how much time we have left. The lack of clarity makes it impossible to feel any real urgency. Are we supposed to be in a panic because he'll be here tomorrow? Or do we have years to prepare? The audience is left completely in the dark about these story elements. A good example is Interstellar, where they clearly explain how time works on different planets. We learned that 1 hour on this planet is 7 years on Earth. That's how you build tension. Here you're just left confused. While the actors acted smart, the characters did not feel particularly intelligent. Most of the time, you felt like Reed was telling us vague sciencey things, which made it hard to believe these are the most brilliant minds. His idea lacked a plan B or C. For someone like Reed, that's hard to buy. We move on to our other issue, the baby plot. When I saw the beginning of this movie, first thing I thought was, no, not the baby plot. Why was a baby needed? I understand in the comics, Sue and Reed have kids. This is being faithful to the source material, but we're being reintroduced to the Fantastic Four as a group. Much of the team development gets hijacked by a baby dilemma, which cripples the team development and drags the pacing. The baby added nothing to the story. If removed, nothing would have changed. Earth could still be chosen since it attracts powerful beings, which could still draw Galactus. Silver Surfer could still be persuaded to help with more creative emotional stakes, like, I don't know, her freedom. The ending could literally skip 4 years to Franklin being born with Doctor Doom appearance. This would have preserved the emotional weight, allow us more time to bond with the team. As it stands, the story leads too hard into family drama before we even reconnected with these characters. It makes the plot predictable because we know the baby won't be harmed unless necessary. This also forces the character to be restricted to family roles, which also limits them to plot restrictions, like not being able to take certain risks in plans because a baby is involved, or the fact that Sue's identity slowly just became mom. And while there's nothing wrong with that, her actions rely mainly on Reed coming up with big decisions and not voicing any other rational reasoning behind choices apart from protecting her baby. Being able to have practical thinking is still something that mothers can do. The movie Arrival is a perfect example. Louis' daughter Hannah is central to the story, but she's not the focus. We learn that Louise chooses to have her daughter despite knowing how it will end. Regardless if you thought it was selfish or not, that's powerful. This is how you write an essential role for a child that sends a message and doesn't undermine the plot. And that brings us to the dumbest plan. The planet's greatest mind's solution was to yeet Earth into an unknown solar system and hope for the best. Teleport Earth to another solar system, not utilize the data Reed got from Galactus spaceship to somehow try and find a weakness with Galactus, or even try to bargain with Silver Surfer to find a weakness to Galactus. The plan was just to move Earth and hope for the best. In a superhero movie, we suspend belief to immerse ourselves in their stories. We accept wild things, aliens, powers, space travel, but you still need logic to anchor the story. But when you tell the audience not only they managed to travel to space without any government bodies from any country being involved, but to teleport Earth to another solar system and build a teleport infrastructure within a month. Do you know what happened to the ocean if the moon moves closer to Earth? What happens if there's no sun or moon? Now imagine moving the entire Earth across the galaxy. There's only so much you can suspend belief or get on board with before your brains goes, no, I don't buy that. We also had unnecessary characters like Mole Man who appeared with poor writing. While devoted comic fans might love it, I didn't think he was necessary. Just another plot device. I get this is Earth 828 and this is their version where there's no government bodies. The civilians are cardboard. Where you need to talk to Mole Man for access to his underground palace. Because the stakes of Earth existence is not important, right? Natasha Lyonne was completely wasted. And I'll say I prefer Kerry Washington's and Ben's story in the previous Fantastic Four. At least their story went somewhere. In this one, we've only seen her a few times, and there is some kind of hint to Ben and her having some kind of interest, but nothing actually happens. Mark Gettis was a charming host, but anyone could have played that role. Movies aren't only for comic book fans. You want to be faithful to the source material, but the general audience matters too, because comic book adaptations follow the same format as any other movie. It doesn't matter if you're a comic book fan. Bad writing is bad writing, regardless whether it's comic accurate. There has to be a logical reason why certain things happen to make the plot advance or not. Last but not least, the final scene in this movie. The Fantastic Four, supposedly brilliant minds, decided to try and catch Galactus in a trap like a big rat, with warning signs around the active area that they're trying to catch him. And they thought this was really smart. I know many didn't like the old Fantastic Four movies, but they had fun and creativity with their team's powers and storytelling. And if you tell me Reed couldn't stretch more because he was being stretched against his will, I call bullshit. By comic logic, he can stretch 10 times the size from any limb. Reed, the most brilliant mind, didn't think of wrapping around Galactus' legs as he's walking, or slingshot the thing, or ask Johnny to melt the concrete to slow him down so they can buy time to get the baby. Also, Silver Surfer was just waiting somewhere to make her final debut to push Galactus in the portal. Why couldn't we have a team up scene with the Silver Surfer and the Fantastic Four fighting Galactus? Who wouldn't want that scene? That would have been completely epic. Overall, there are aspects to this movie I enjoyed, but too much fun being sucked up by being tied to baby drama, which created a weird pacing. Johnny and Ben's banter were still enjoyable, but more subdued. I like seeing Johnny being used more, but the execution failed these characters and suffered from poor writing. Like how Johnny became a linguist in a month with an alien language you've never heard from space messages that is on recording, and we don't know what none of the other Fantastic Four specializes in, so we are just like, YOLO, they have big minds and that's all we need to know. Or how Sue Storm at the end part, she apparently died even though there was no indication of blood or anything, so we just know that she kind of died, and we don't know exactly what was the situation that caused it, apart from she just overused her powers, but there was no indication of anything because we don't know the limitation of her powers because we've never been told what the limitations are. And then of course it was very predictable that I knew that baby Franklin was going to bring her back to life with the bad CGI baby crawling on her and doing some kind of hocus pocus. But again, there is no information about anything. We don't know anything. And Ben, the coolest thing Ben had in this movie was Rock Beard. I digress. I give Fantastic Four 3 dabs out of 5 dabs. And if you disagree, tell me why you think I'm right or you think I'm talking crap. If you want to support me, please subscribe, and you can follow me and support me on Ko-fi and Patreon for more behind the scenes videos and extended versions. Thank you. I'm Star Stab. Bye.